It's good and wonderful experience to be here today. We had been gone. We were helping Laurel Brook for about 2.5 years. We left December 2022. And we were gone for about a year and 5 months, I suppose. And we were in Florida. That's where we live. And somehow, you know, God is in the business of making sure that His people who are willing and available will be doing the work. Now, we have not been back to Moldova since after COVID. The last time we were there was December of 2019. And we got back here by January. You know, the COVID came, right? So there was all the closure of travel. And then after 2 years, we were ready to go, but then there was the Ukraine problem. So we were not able to go. And along the line, there was somehow in 2020, and it was actually, to be exact, June 29. We were here on the campus of Laurel Brook. You see, our director for our health center is a medical doctor. He asked me to be a designated driver. He said, would you please accompany us? I want to go to that Laurel Brook Academy and Wildwood, and I'm retiring in 2 years. That's his plan. He will retire, and he would like to help this Laurel Brook Academy nursing home. That was his plan. So I found myself, my wife, and some friends. I was driving. I was a designated driver. Remember, designated driver, you got to be obedient, right? So, of course, we were in Crossville because the doctor has his timeshare over there. And by June 29, to be exact, before lunch, we were right here on the campus, and we were going to have lunch with Miss Modi, for those of you who are acquainted with Miss Modi, right? So while we were ready to eat lunch, then here comes the president of Laurel Brook, Mr. Warren. And so he introduced himself. There was this little conversation, and eventually he asked this question. He asked the doctor, why are you here? And the doctor said, you know, I'll be retiring in 2 years, and I would like to help here in the nursing home. And Mr. Warren was excited, and he said, well, that's good, but can I meet with you Thursday? Now, that was Monday. I want to meet with your group on Thursday. In order to shorten the story here, we met Mr. Warren Thursday, and then that was July 2. And eventually he asked the doctor, said, so you're retiring in 2 years, and you're willing to come. But you know what? Our current need right now is a social science teacher, a history teacher. And the doctor said, well, you got the teacher right there. That's pointing to me. So anyway, I've been involved in school for many years and been helping with the social science. So they need help here. So Mr. Warren asked, can you please consider for at least 1 school year? And we did come over here on the context of 1 school year. So we got here on August 2020 when we started to help. And after 10 months, the school was about finished. And I asked Mr. Warren if there is a way that, that we can leave. And he said, well, we don't have yet anybody that applied. Can you please come back? So we returned, right? And we were able to help another school year. But anyway, just before the school year is finished, they found this teacher, and so we left back to Florida. And then February, just this last February, the work in Moldova, Ukraine is okay. What I mean, okay, we can go back. So we bought a ticket. So we purchased a ticket, and that will be, departure is August 6th, which will be supposed to be this coming Tuesday. And we are supposed to return on November 26th. And guess what? That was February. So we were excited about it, and so that's our plan, going back to Moldova for 3 months, and everything was just beautiful until sometime in March. I got a little call. I got a call from one of the seniors here. Mr. A, is it possible for you to consider to speak for our graduation, one of our speakers for graduation weekend? So I was thinking about that. Yeah, sure. I can do that. But in the process, I was telling my wife, you know what? Why don't we, I think if we volunteer in Moldova, why can't we just volunteer here also over in Laurel Brook? And so I sent a text message to Mr. Warren, and he said, yeah, we need help over here. So on that weekend towards the end of May, we decided to do a volunteer work here on the context of leaving this coming August 6th, right? But that has all changed. We are not going to go to Moldova August 6th. We decided that we are going to go sometime on November for 1 month. So I'll be helping the school. So we are here in the school now. We are excited. My wife is helping the school there for giving free piano lessons, by the way. Free piano lessons. You know what's the best lesson? Free. So she has been teaching lessons in the past and said, well, why don't you just give free piano lessons? So for those of you who would like to have free piano lessons, see her. Okay? And so this time, I'm not anymore teaching, and I'm glad I'm not teaching in a way, but I am actually doing what you call the student services, which I will be a coordinator to make sure that all our students are in the right track, they're in the right place during their schedule, they will be in the vocational or classes, whatever. And so that will be my new designation. So anyway, a few weeks ago, I don't know, Josie, when did you call me? And, when Josie knows that we are here, she usually tries to negotiate and see if we can come over here and help a little bit. And so we are here today, and thank you very much for the privilege of being here. And it's great to be with you during this time. God is always in the business of making sure that we are ready for His coming. Are you ready? You know, the title that when Jody asked, what's my sermon title, I said, usually I wish I just don't need to give this title, just put the program there and just be able to come and speak, right? So I have to put the title, but then I said, what will be the title? So anyway, something came up. How ready is ready? Now, as a Seventh-day Adventist, we always have that connotation about readiness for Jesus to come, right? So if I'm going to really ask each one of us right now, how ready are you? Now, you're the only one that can answer that, right? Now, by the way, when we really think about readiness, and really at the end, like, I was looking at this definition of ready, and I went to this dictionary, and that's always my reliable source of getting what I need, right? And so anyway, let me just get this straight right here. According to the dictionary, the word ready, it says here they be prepared mentally or physically for some experience or action. Now think about it. It says that being ready, it means mentally or physically for some experience. Now, I'd like to add a little more, emotionally and psychologically. Do you agree with me? Because you can be physically ready, but then you might also be what? You might not be, emotionally, you might not be ready. Just like my wife and I decided to come over here. They said, yeah, it's great. But then I know that there are things here in our school. For those of you who have been in our school here, you notice that there are activities there that is going to make you sometimes unbalanced. What I mean by that is you will assign you to a work where you are not used to doing. Are you with me? For example, I was told, Mr. A, and by the way, that's the designation title I have, Mr. A. And I am the youngest, among those who are actively working there right now. I'm the youngest. My wife and I are the youngest ones. Okay? In the mind. But biologically or age-wise, we are the senior citizen. But sometimes they would have that you be ready. Mr. A, I want you to please go to the cafeteria and help there and do some cooking over there. What? Mr. A, can you go to, be at the boys' den? So there, but no, I'm supposed to be there. You got to be ready. Right? And so if you are not emotionally ready, and that especially you are dealing with young people, then you better be what? Oh, be ready anyway. All right? So being ready, be prepared for some immediate use, and be willing to be disposed. And of course, I would like to add, as being ready, you should also be available. All right? So, how ready are we? How ready are you? So with this thought, I'm not going to talk to you about some theological things here this morning. Because you see, we are all wanting to be ready for Jesus to come. But before that, he gave us a very specific commission. What was recorded in Matthew 28? Go ye what? Therefore. To what? Preach the message. So how many of you here have been doing that lately? Oh, by the way, last Sunday we went for that health expo down there. Right there in the Centennial Park. Oh, it was so beautiful at first, then rain, and then suddenly it stopped. And then we were all excited putting things together, and then downpour. And I'm telling you, it was such a beautiful experience. All right, and then of course we had to close it earlier. But it was good, and we have met some people there, and it was quite exciting. The goal is that we will be able to disseminate at least a beautiful experience about some kind of lifestyle. And by the way, we met one lady. We still had to call and visit her, not Seventh-day Adventist. And this is really the whole point. You should be ready where there is something that is in need at this point in time. Now, we are supposed to go out there and do the work for the Lord. But here's the problem. And this is what I would like for us to put a balance. Because it is possible that we will be so busy doing the Lord's work that our preparation for His coming is being neglected. Now, I'd like to repeat this, okay? Some of you are looking at me like, how can that be possible? Is it really possible that you are so busy doing God's work that you forget to really prepare for the real one for His coming? Is that possible? Yes. So that's what we have to be very careful. And, I have chosen this text today, and let's just go back there because there is something that would define here the importance of sharing. At the same time, we need also to balance what we have to do in order to be ready for Jesus to come. How ready is ready. Now, in 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 15, somehow the context of this is really suffering for right, or even for what you call for the Lord, suffering for right and wrong. But anyway, on verse 15 it says, but sanctify the Lord God in your hearts. Now, what does it mean to sanctify your God in your hearts? The word sanctify has its connotation of being set aside for a holy purpose. Are you with me? All right? Therefore, it says here that when you want to work for the Lord, you need to what? Experience that experience of being sanctified, set aside for a holy purpose. So the question is, how will you set aside, or yourself to set aside for a holy purpose? How will you do that? I would like to propose this morning that the first thing that we really need to do is being sanctified, and I would like to go to Psalm chapter 46, verse 10. Okay? Let's go to that Bible verse, and then we will return again to this particular chapter of 1 Peter. Let's go to Psalm chapter 46. All right, and it is on verse 10. My New King James Version says, Psalm 46, verse 10, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations, and I will be exalted in the earth." So it says here, "Be still and know that I am God." How will we do this? Okay, let me read this quotation and see if perhaps it will help us understand what it means to really be still and to know God. Now, in the book Education, page 260, there is a quote, and I would like to read this, and I will try to go slow and analyze this quotation, because it is important that we need to be sanctified. When in fact, Jesus says, "Be holy because I am" what? Holy. So there is a process here. There is a certain portion of that God is asking us to do, that we need to be sanctified. And here is a quote on page 260, 261 of Education. "An intensity such as never before was seen is taking possession of the world." When in fact, Josie just read some quotation here from the Great Controversy that many of the people in the world are really having some anxiousness of what's happening. All right? And here it says that an intensity such as never before was seen is taking possession of the world. In amusement, in money-making, in the contest for power, in the very struggle for existence, there is a terrible force that engrossed body and mind and soul. Now think about this. Not only in amusement, not only in money-making, not only in trying to get this, seemingly people are trying to get power, but even for the struggle for mere existence. There is this situation that is surrounding us. Now let me continue this particular quotation. It says here, "In the midst of this maddening rush, God is speaking. He bids us come apart and commune with Him." So in other words, in our busy schedule of all this work that we are doing, I don't know, maybe some of you, most of you here are already retired, right? How many of you are, just for the sake of, how many of you are already retired? Okay, there's quite a number. Okay? When in fact, a friend of mine right here on campus asked me a few weeks ago, "Aren't you a retired person?" I said, "Yeah." "So why are you here working? Why don't you stay in Florida and enjoy a beach over there and just enjoy life?" And I look at this young fellow and I said, well, of course I did not tell him this. In my mind, you just don't know what you're talking about. Because wait until you get to that retirement, because once you get to that retirement age, there is really no retirement. I mean, I don't know for some, but for me and my wife, I really don't know what retirement is all about. Because I can't afford just to sit down. I have seen some of my friends in where I live there in Florida, in our park, that they're all gone now, and actually they enjoy the retirement. They sit in the morning, they have donuts and all that, and I mean, when we leave for a while, we come back, they're still there enjoying. But some of them are not there anymore. I mean, they're gone. I can't be like that. I cannot just sit and enjoy my donut. You got to do something. But sometimes in this struggle, even in this position of trying to work for the Lord, can be very what? Can be detrimental. Okay, now let me finish this reading here, because there's something that I would like us to know. Because even in our busy schedule, God says in 46:10, be still and know, because this is important for us to be sanctified, even though we are busy doing the Lord's work. Many, it says here, even in their seasons of devotion, listen to this now, many, even in their seasons of devotion, if I may add, even in their seasons of worship, or even in their session of coming to church, many, even in their seasons of devotion, fail of receiving the blessing of real communion with God. Think about that. This is serious. They are in too great haste. With hurried steps, they press through the circle of Christ's loving presence. Perhaps a moment within the sacred prison. Just pausing. Just trying to have a little pause. A moment within the sacred presence, but not waiting for counsel. They have no time to remain with the divine teacher, and with their burdens, they return to their work. I remember a few years back, I have a friend. She said, in the morning, it becomes her habit, because she's a nurse, she goes to work, and then she said, you know what, I still have my devotional, and I just press that, the tape in my car, and I could listen and have the Bible reading, and you will be driving. And I said, that's really good. But where is your real meditation? Well, I am also meditating while I'm driving. I mean, really, it is like a relative description, correct? But what does it really mean to pause and spend time sitting at the feet of Jesus? There's a difference. See, what I am simply putting here in this description is that it can be possible that we are so busy, even in our coming to church and all this preparation, and yet we miss the real thing of listening to the counsel of Jesus. Because really, truly, being ready for His coming is we have to be set aside to be sanctified in His presence, spending the time. Let me finish this quote. All right? Let me finish this. They need, this is referring to all of us here now, they need the uplifting influence of His Spirit. Receiving this, they will be quickened by fresh life, and the wearied frame and the tired brain will be refreshed. The burdened hearts will be lightened. Not a cause for a moment in His presence, but personal contact with Christ, to sit down and companionship with Him. This is our greatest need. Sitting at the feet of Jesus. And then you can, after that, listening to Jesus and having that counsel, then you can move on and do what you have to do for the Lord. But you are refreshed. And you are emotionally what? Rejuvenated. You are physically rejuvenated and mentally rejuvenated and spiritually uplifted. And that's what we need to what? To experience. So how ready are you? Well, I'm ready for the coming of the Lord. But sometimes readiness, as I've said, is is just a relative word perhaps, but we really need to take action. When we think about this being ready, it's really something else that sometimes I kind of relate this in just a recent experience. A friend of mine, he actually from, he lives in Canada, but he's originally, it has his lineage as an Italian. And they live in in Toronto, and occasionally they are in Florida. So we got acquainted, and one day he asked me, he said, Mattao, would you like to learn how to bake an Italian bread? And I said, yeah, I'd like to do that. So anyway, we got together, and one time, he showed me how to make some Italian bread, and also some of these, yeah, and also focaccia, all these goodies, right? And then I learned some of that. In fact, I have some of those pictures of my, my experience of baking. And then they went back to Canada. And this was about just this last April. Something about April. And anyway, he said, hey, I will be there. I would like you to come to my house because I'm going to show you another way of, baking. And this time it will be sourdough. Oh, I was excited about that. And anyway, we got the starter. And I forgot all about it. He called me, hey, I'm here now. And I said, yeah, I got the sourdough starter. And so we went to the house, and I think it was Monday. And I gave the starter to him, and we talked, and he said, you know what? I'm leaving very soon. I'm going to put this in the freezer. My wife and I will go for a cruise. And I said, well, great. And when I return, I'm going to call you, so I'm going to show you how to bake this sourdough. Oh, it was great, right? Now, that was actually Monday afternoon. And then we parted. And the next day, we were driving towards North Carolina, and I got a phone call from my friend. And my friend said, hey, Mattao, your friend, Omero, is dead. I said, what? I just talked to him yesterday. He's dead. And I was just like, what? That evening he went to bed. The wife was still on her way back to Florida, and he went to sleep, and he just was not able to wake up. It was just like, we got great plans, by the way. Now, I'm sharing this with the thought that, we got all these plans, and then we go to sleep, and we would not even have a chance to wake up. Now, he's a good friend of mine. I have no business of knowing, as far as salvation is concerned. That's between him and God, right? But is he really ready? I do not know. Are you with me? So the point that I'm sharing with you here, readiness is not just a matter of what? Trying to be busy, trying to fulfill all this work that we have. But we need also to spend that very special time with the Lord. And Brother Lowen, thank you, by the way, for the lesson. All these lessons, by the way, is pointing to us for what? Spending our time with Jesus. You notice the experience of the disciples? They were with Jesus for all these years, and suddenly there's a problem. They all what? They abandon him. I mean, sometimes, we really think about this. How can that be possible? They've been with Jesus. They are all together. They were taught well and all that. And then when the real experience came, all of them were gone. I hope you and I will not have that experience. I hope that we will always be what? Ready to stand right at his side. Yes, it's good to be busy doing the Lord's work. It's always busy planting that seed. And just like what Sister Josie mentioned today, we have the business of planting, but we have no business of germinating the seed. Ours is the busyness or being busy to do the work of planting and also making sure that we, as being the worker for the Lord, is strong and ready spiritually every time. As what our text says, That be what? Let's go back there now in 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 15. But sanctify the Lord God in your hearts and always be ready to give a what? A defense to everyone who asks the reason for the hope that is in you. And so we have to think along this line, my brothers and sisters. This is not about the high theological terminology here. It is about our daily devotion and our daily time with God. And this is important because we truly would like to be ready for His coming. And it can be any time. It can be any time. And so I would like to propose today that we will not only pause right there at the precinct of the presence of Jesus, but really sitting at His feet. Remember the experience of Mary and Martha? What was the experience? Martha was so concerned about what? Preparing for physical food, which is good, by the way. And when she started making a comment to Jesus, Lord, please tell my sister to help me, what did Jesus say? Martha, Martha, come on. You can always have that food, but what I'm giving your sister is something that you cannot always have. Take your time. Take time to be holy. That's why that song that you have, we sang there, song number 500, that's written by this businessman, Longstaff. If you look at that, he was actually, the story behind that is this man was a businessman and he was a very good church member and all that, but somehow because of business, it seems like his holiness is only formality. And one day he got so convicted that one night he could not really sleep, and eventually he wrote this song, pleading. And this is a song like, take time to be holy. Take time to pause and be with the Lord. And that's why we need to have that encouragement. And I need this encouragement, especially working over here with the school system. You can be derailed anytime because you get so busy for all the good things that you do that you don't have time with the Lord. And that's why when I share this with you, it's not just because I want to share this, it's because reminding me that this is what we need, to be with Jesus and be ready when He comes.